Hey everybody, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
It is a beautiful Friday indeed. Well, so far.
It is the beautiful
We'll see how well
indeed.
it goes. There's lots of weather stuff going on, which we'll definitely talk about. But we've had a super busy week. Got some stuff done on the farm, but most of the stuff required me to spend my time chasing politicians. But you know how that goes. What are you laughing at?
Chasing them.
Oh my goodness. Yes, chasing them. And you know what? They're not all bad. They're decent people. We believe differently, but I don't think, at least from a local level here, that they're necessarily evil or anything like that. But anyway, let's get to some hellos. And Helen, happy harvest. Welcome in. And the greatest name on the internet
Bubble them.
is in the house. Yad, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Terminator. Yep. Says, good evening, Freedom family, and happy Friday. I hope you are not getting the storms. Well, there's nothing close to us as of right this second, but we are anticipating pretty good storms tonight. So,
We have it pulled up.
yes, on my other screen up here in my office, I've got the system going and I'm watching the radar and I'm doing all of that simultaneously as we talk to all you great people. Kent, welcome in. Lisa, hello. The king himself, Jeff, Juicy, Hefty, Lefty, Amazon, Mud Dauber, Slip,
Phyllis.
Slick.
Slick. You said slip.
Slick.
Phyllis.
You said Phyllis. Jane Marie, good to see you. Carrie Davis, how are you, my friend? Hey, my buddy Scott's in the house. Scott, what's going on? Let's see here. The beautiful Paula and her half Kent. Good to see you. From Tennessee. Let's see, no lives complete without a
Pack rat.
hey, and look who's back. Live with Mike and Jen. Jen, how are you, my friend?
Welcome home.
Yep, welcome back. They've been out and about, and we've missed them the last couple lives, but I am super glad to see you. Adam and Cindy, my buddies from ACM Homesteader in the house. Good to see you. My fellow off-grid partner Nitos is in the house. Good to see you guys. Talk about off-grid. There's American Roots Farm. Good to see you is good. Look there, Mossy Oak Parrot. I have not read that name in here in a while. Good to see you. Grateful Heart Ranch. Good to see you as well. Let's see here. Where am I at? Mrs. Hacks. I hope you guys are watching the weather. Good to see you. David Strom. Hello. Yeah, you would have, David, we had a very eventful week this week, specifically on a political level. I thought about you a couple times, and what questions you would ask. It'd have been fun. Anyway, my good buddy Mo Engineers here. Good to see you, Mo. Terminator. Good. No, I already said Terminator. Tambra. Good to see you. And Stan Guthrie, welcome in. I think I'm pretty much caught up, at least for the moment. But that will change, right? What do you got on your list tonight? What do you want to talk about, buddy?
Well, I've been working on admin stuff, really. Taxes and chasing stuff down.
You like doing taxes?
No.
I got so many friends of mine who always say to me things like, just stop paying them. Stop paying your taxes. And I just don't see how that's a plan for success.
There's a big push, I think, for like people to either not pay them this coming April, or for them to like file a extension or something.
Yeah, the problem is that our system, if you don't, they take everything from you. I mean, and so
you have to play their game.
You kind of have to play the game a little bit along the way. I don't like paying them, but I mean, I don't like it. David says, do you guys have an accountant? Oh, yes. And, I've told many of people this, David, I would pay my accountant before I paid many of my things, because what they do, I've got lots of businesses, lots of things, lots of moving parts, lots of things going around and around. And so, having them there is a big blessing. Dana Green, by the way, welcome in. Cal was here. What is going on? Yeah, Mo, you cannot resist yourself, can you, buddy? He says, don't stop paying them, stop generating them. Well, that's really hard to do, right? How you put gas in your car if you can't generate income? That's the question, Mo. Okay, so you got to type an answer. How do you do that?
Make it.
Right, well, right. Aljo and Barbara, good to see you. B. McGill, hello from Canada.
Hello.
Yeah. Let's see here.
You know that is right.
You didn't know Cal equals LP. Oh, I know what that is. Local Prepper. What's up, Local Prepper? Why you and I have yet to do a video together, I do not know. I don't know how that has managed to slip through the cracks all this time. Let's see here. David says, make sure you do all the homework necessary before ever consider not paying taxes. Yeah.
You know that is right.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I thought you were talking about that one. I believe they would notice if you stopped. Yeah, they would notice if you stopped too. So, I mean, I think there's for me, and you know, Mo can argue this a little bit, but I think for me, what it is get all the infrastructure and get everything in, pay cash. Don't, you know, just get all of it settled and then get to a place where you don't need income anymore. But the fortunate part is you got to have income to get to the place where you don't need income. I don't know how you do it any other way. Yeah, Local Prepper says we're both YouTube slackers. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. That is some true stuff right there. Sorry, baby. Go ahead.
Oh, you're fine.
What else you got on your list?
Well, I think I got a picture of that too. Well, it was Lady's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Our girl cow turned 3. I think she's 3. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, Gypsy will correct you.
I know. That's why I said correct me if I'm wrong. She might be 4. We got daylight savings time coming up. Been to your mother-in-law, or I've been to your mother's house 3 times this week.
Yep. She my mom this week watched the very first Life Done Free video in her whole life. First time she was ever on YouTube.
She found YouTube.
In her whole life. She watched our town hall meeting, which obviously we'll get to. But
she actually called and she said, my internet's down, I need help. And so I went over there and I first turned it on YouTube to see if it was working. And I said, oh no, hey, yeah, if YouTube is working, I signed it up, looked through Life Done Free, found a picture of her son so she could recognize it, turned it on, and then that way she could go back. It will be on her, recently watched. And so I said, no, your internet's working if you're on YouTube. And she was like, well, no, my TV, I can't get my TV on. And she goes, look, and she pressed it and it just was just a blank screen. And I was like, no, don't you remember I was here last week and we had to, or 2 weeks ago, and we had to download a whole new app because the company that you get TV from wants you to use a different app. And her TV has like apps. And so she was like, I don't understand. So I had to walk her through that again, find the app now it says. And, she goes, oh man, I've been doing that for days. I was like, oh man.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, Mario himself is in the house. Says, good evening, groovy Homestead brothers and sisters. We've missed you all. So good to be back with you on a Friday night. Yeah, we're super happy to have you. Terminator wants to know if you've started any seeds yet.
I have not.
No.
I have been working on admin stuff.
Yeah, well, it's not really quite that time yet. We've got, well, that's not totally true. You've got all the seed potatoes cut and ready to go.
Well, some of them, not all of them.
I thought you had them all done.
No, it's been chilly and wet and rainy, and I don't want to go over there with I want to wait in that way, cut them, and then be able to bring them and let them air out. So if I let them come outside, but I don't want it to be rainy, and I don't want to, tend to them.
Yep. Hey, we're joined by citizen broadcaster, the warrior herself. Mo says the answer to gas. How do you pay for gas? He says, true, may need gas for the car, but you don't need to raise so much money to buy the best car. Have lavish vacations, best computer, make less, and live humbly. This is true, but you still need income. And therefore, if there's income, there's taxes in most cases. Not all cases, but most cases. Yeah, happy Helen, happy harvest. Hello, Thistle Creek, welcome in. Keep going.
You got pictures for this?
You want to do pictures first? Hey, real quick, all you prayer warriors out there, there is a lot of people in the middle of tornado trouble today, and will last pretty much through the night. So let's keep all of them, in our thoughts, right, in our prayers, because that stuff's real, and You know, that's not Iran, and that's not World War III, and that's not all that. That's everyday stuff for, you know, a lot of people. And interesting enough, to Michigan had some that was pretty interesting. I'll get to that. Um, last night, Thursday's deadly tornado. A mother and a daughter were killed Thursday in western Oklahoma when their vehicle was struck by a tornado. Isn't that just crazy looking?
That'd be so scary.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't want to be driving in it.
No.
Today, while I was building the live, there was tornadoes on the ground in Michigan, and this would be very odd for Michigan.
Like ever, or just this time of year?
This time of year. The tornado hit a Menards, hit at 3:03 p.m. tonight, hit a high school. Now I would hope that they would have already evacuated it and already all that stuff. I don't know. I didn't hear the you know, the reports or anything of it, but it did smacks right into a hospital, and then, I mean, even a high school. And then tonight, while we were getting ready for the live, right before the live, there was a tornado on the ground in North Tulsa. You know, Tulsa's a pretty good sized town, and you know, it was obviously doing what it's doing. But tonight's supposed to be a pretty active night. Real quick, Can Squatch, welcome in. Says the town hall live stream the other night was interesting. Thanks for posting the meeting. Yeah, I'm gonna talk a bunch about that tonight. I found after going back through it, I've come up with all kinds of things that I find interesting.
Thanks for coming to it.
Canberra, hello, says taters are up, tomatoes planted, citrus trees putting on leaves here in Texas. Not quite big away. Yeah. Dana Green says my biggest takeaway from the town hall meeting was he said they are going to do what they want anyway. Yeah. Let's see here. And David says, do you do anything extra for your homestead to prepare for possible tornado or hurricane? So that's an interesting question. No, the short answer is a little bit. I mean, when we know one's coming, you know, David will get the, you know, we have a small safe that's meant to be carried, and it has important paperwork in it. And then, but our storm shelter's all equipped. So we really don't have to bring much down there but ourselves. So we try to shoes in your wallet, in your purse, you know, and those kind of things. But when I built this place, for this reason, right? I mean, it's our storm shelter. We could take a direct hit from the biggest tornado ever recorded, and we're going to make it through it. Won't be any fun, but we would make it through it. So no, we really don't do a lot extra, right? Would you agree with that? I mean, it's really just collecting a few things.
I put the goats up.
I guess that's fair. You put your animals in the stalls.
I just put the goats up.
Yeah.
Just because they're. Yeah. I don't want them.
Yeah, the truth is, if you're thinking about just tornado, they'd be safer outside probably. But.
Well, they're pregnant and then they're little and they're.
Yeah. Let's see here.
They escape easy.
Half Blah Plum says having a hard time hearing. Is it just him? Was anybody else having a hard time hearing us? Here. Let's see here. How about now? I got it. Don't touch it. How about now?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? It appears to be working on my end. All right. Frank B says they've got me back. Okay, there we go. If you guys decide you can't hear me again, let me know. Okay, where were we even at? Oh my goodness, look at all those comments.
Yeah, people were like, hey.
Yeah. I don't remember what we were even talking about. Let's see here. Make sure I didn't miss nobody. Better, but still low. I've got my volume all the way up. Hey, Miss Elizabeth. How are you? Good to see you.
Hello.
I don't know.
Welcome.
All right. Yeah, I've got it all the way up on my side, so. Anyway. Hey, we'll be cool. Welcome in. Keep me posted on the sound. It should be okay, but anyway, we were talking about this. Oh yeah, the tornado siren. So I have a tornado app on my phone that makes the sound of the tornado siren. And then one time when Mario and Jen were over at the house, and well, Gypsy and his wife I think were there, and I think maybe who else was there? American Roots there?
Yeah.
Was there, and we were waiting on a tornado to show up, and
yeah, he plays it loud and clear so that the ladies start to freak out.
Yeah, it was fun.
Get to the shelter. Women and children.
It was fun.
Actually, I think most of you guys were outside standing watching watching that. Not me.
Yeah,
I was
Frank B's.
tucked away.
We're in Kansas. Yeah, I thought I answered that already, but apparently I had muted myself when we were doing that. So anyway, hey, these are pictures of the tornado that hit in Michigan. Where I find so interesting about it is there's still ice on the lake. Isn't that interesting? Like, I don't really ever recall that.
Oh, I'm not from there, but
right, but you wouldn't think that. Hey, never know. What's going on? Welcome in. Oh. Let's see here. This was the pictures of the Menards from in Michigan today. I was telling B earlier today that tornadoes are so fascinating because they'll do things like tear a big brick wall down, but they'll leave the items that are on the shelf alone.
Yeah, just next to it.
Yeah, and so it's super, super crazy. But as I mentioned, this tornado hit this Menards, and then right after that hit high school.
And a storage unit or something, storage facility.
Can you relate to this? Can Squatch says, when sirens go off, a true Kansas man goes outside to take a look.
Yes.
You agree with that?
They do.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Stan Gunther says, we have a thunderstorm coming. Keep hearing and rumbling. Yeah, it's supposed to, well, depending on which weather thing you watch, it's supposed to hit us about 8:30. Mm-hmm. So tonight during the live, the storm's supposed to hit us. So we'll see how well that goes. But
it's going to go right around us.
Oh, look at that. Pretty cool. Hey, Frank Bree says, I'm in Nebraska. I actually lived in Nebraska for a while. I lived in West Point. I lived in Norfolk. Probably some other places, but I like Nebraska. Oh, cool. Will Be Cool says they're getting bees. And You Never Know says it's Mrs. ACM. Love that.
Oh, you never know.
And you never know, do ya? All right. Yeah. Elizabeth says due here at midnight.
Be safe.
Yeah, you guys be safe. That'll be all right. They're pretty smart.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the town hall, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how many of you people watched it.
Did you get pictures?
Yes, I got pictures in here. We did a town hall meeting, a We the People town hall. Oh, North Bend. Oh my goodness. Frank's Bees. I know right where you're at. I drove through North Bend a million times. But hey, RN, welcome in. So anyway, we did a town hall meeting, and if you guys remember, I've kind of been keeping you up to loop on it. There was a lot of people involved. I cannot even tell you how there's no way I could have done it alone. Like, there was so much help in so many places, and a lot of it all, goes unnoticed, but it wasn't. It took us a good, month and a half of planning and, meetings
weekly.
and gaining questions. We met every single week,
at least,
the community, to make sure that we had all of our ducks in a row when we went there. But anyway, I did stream it live from the event. It lasted 3 hours. So I don't know how many of you guys managed to watch all 3 hours, because it was a lot. But I think a lot of really cool stuff.
You really hear the questions in the end a lot.
Well, the people who would use the microphone, you could hear them fine.
Yeah.
But the people that didn't want to use the microphone,
Yeah.
there's just nothing I can do about that, you know. Hey, Reclusive Freedom, what is going on? Good to see you. Yeah, you never know, says awesome turnout. Yeah, it was pretty good. I've had a bunch of people give me different numbers. The medium numbers, about 200 people showed up. The highest number I heard was 241, and the lowest number I heard was 178, right, of the reports that I got there. But so basically, what we did is we spent the first half of the live, the broadcast. I asked questions that we had gathered during a survey process, and then the second half, it was just the audience asking questions. But for those of you who watched it, I'd love to hear your take. I'd love to hear what you thought about it. I'd love to hear if was the questions too hard, not hard enough? Was was I fair to them?
I think you were pretty fair.
What do you think of their answers? Because again, this isn't the last time we'll do this. And in fact, part of during the live, the commissioners were talking about our local school district, and the superintendent for the school district was in the audience. And this might have been my favorite part, or one of my favorite parts of the meeting. But I said just on the mic, I said, "Hey, I'd love to do a town hall meeting with the school districts." And the superintendent said, "Oh yeah, we do them." I said, "No. I want to do them outside of your procedural constraints. I want to do a We the People one where we can, talk."
My way.
Right, right. Let's do that. And I, he wouldn't commit to me, but I tried to push him hard. I told him I was going to hold him to it. So we'll see what happens. I got to gather all of the troops. We have an after action meeting coming up, and we'll figure out what comes next. But I'm glad the meeting is over. It was a lot to prepare for, and I'm way behind on a million things that I'd like to get done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy Helen Harvest says, I watched, then fell asleep.
Me too.
Yep. Dana Green says, I think I crapped out about 30 minutes early. I was nodding. Yeah. Stan says, I watched most of it. Dana Green says, I think some of the answers were vague and not fully addressed as usual. Happy Harvest says, the three officials were very nice people. Yeah, I kind of was saying that earlier. I don't think that they're bad people. I think what happens is you get into government and you think you got to do everything, and it's really hard to say no because everybody wants something. RN says, anybody having extremely high electric bills, I am talking about increase of 200% to 400% on your bill, with people saying no charge on their part of amount used. No change. Sorry, on their part of amount used. Guys, I have been telling you guys on my live for how many years that energy is going to be the issue. It is absolutely going to be the issue with the things coming on with AI, power generation, the nuclear plants, all the stuff. I mean, every rural county I know of has some fight going on with some new kind of power plant, AI, or a prison or something like that. They're, by estimates, a lot of the experts, or so-called experts, whatever you call it, say that we're going to have to double the size of our electrical output in the next 5 to 10 years. Double from what the whole United States grid is. I mean, this is a monumental task, right? Conserve Friend says, I didn't have much time to watch, but was just happy you were able to challenge them and pull it off. Yeah, and there's places I asked them super hard questions, and some of their answers I liked, and some of them I didn't.
Yeah, and some of them required research on their part, so it was nice that they had the questions ahead of time and were able to do that, and they did.
American Root said, I felt it was unacceptable to just pass off an answer as I'm new and don't have an answer. They gave a lot of lip service, in my opinion.
The part I didn't like the most was when the lady said, like, the plan for 10 years was like, oh, I'm not going to be here or something. Yeah. I'm like, oh, well, I hope to be here.
Yeah. And that's the problem. I think there's a lot they could do. I had a conversation with one of the school board meetings after the meeting, and we were talking about the actual point that American Roots was talking about there. There was a question in the audience about reading their property card and how to do it. And they really didn't offer anything, when it would be really, really easy for the, county clerk to say, hey, everybody, if you're interested in learning how to read this, how this works, the county appraiser, whatever, how it works, we're going to meet on Thursday at 7 p.m. and I'm going to give a small presentation on how to read your document. Or
Or I'll do a video about
Right,
it, since
right.
we have a brand new
Right.
way to communicate with the public via mass.
Yeah. My buddy Stanley said to the same lady that I was talking about, how about you just send directions along with it? You know, instead of just the, the sheet. Gypsy has an absolute excellent point. It says my electric bill hasn't changed since 2020. And that's that. Yep. And our end says, Gypsy, do you have all electric meters or the manual meters with spinning wheels that have to be manually read? No, RN, Gypsy's 100% off grid. So his electric bills stayed the same since pulling the trigger and going completely off grid.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have not noticed my electric bill go up either, which is pretty cool.
No, but we did have an issue with our electric.
Oh,
We had
yeah. Let's not
major red days.
Write it down. Write it down. We'll get to it. So I'm not skipping all over the place. Just write it down in your little notebook. Gansquatch says, yeah, one of the commissioners said customer service was a top priority. I still haven't figured out how they figure adding a position makes customer service so much better.
No, I think that instead of adding more, instead of taking half of her job and creating another position, maybe we should just take half of her job and get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of talks at the town hall meeting about, getting rid of part of the process and making the process simpler. I mean, I talked about it, to them, trying to
I
say,
don't know
hey.
if they understand what that means.
Well, I mean, I gave them several examples, babe, when we were talking. I mean, and I, said, hey, how about instead of doing that, you just eliminate it?
Yeah.
How about we get the print? This was an exact quote when we were.
What did they say when you said, how about we just eliminate it?
He said, I agree. We should make it simpler. But that's kind of a half, answer. Yeah. Let's see here. Frank's Bees says bees have been pulling pollen for a week now, super early this year. Yeah, I wonder if Frank's Bees, if that's a good sign that we should move up the planting season, right? Because nature knows, right? And Frank's Bees, do you have bee?
I think we're still going to get a late winter, late snow.
Frank's Bees, I don't know if you know or not, but Bee is a beekeeper. But we'd love to know more about what you're doing up there. Because clearly you're doing something, or you wouldn't have had that comment, right? Let's see here. Yeah, Gypsy says, I went off grid in 2020. Yeah, I think it should be the goal of everybody to get some type of backup energy and eventually get out of the system, Let's see here. Customer service is the excuse of why they need a zoning administrator. Yep. American Root said they gave a comment to do one of these meetings again. I would have been in their interest to offer to find out an answer and bring it back to the table instead of just brushing it off. Yeah, and they did kind of brush that off. RN says they're applauding you right now. I don't know what you did.
I don't know what I did.
I applaud her all the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Gansquatch says all city and county positions should provide good customer service. They're the face of the government. They owe it to the taxpayers. I agree. And I think the more departments and the more divisions and the more things like that we eliminate, the less need there is for customer service. What do you think about that?
I agree.
Let's see. In the end, our surveys, and Stanley, if you want to correct me on these numbers, I believe we had 137 total people fill out the survey. And again, half of the meeting was just me reading the questions off of there. There was some really, really good ones. Oh yeah, we got the only digital sign in our whole town. Got them to put it up on there too, the week before, which was pretty cool. Oh, there we go. 151. I'm gonna write that down. 151. Mossy Oak Parrot, I cannot tell you guys the gigantic role they played in helping this whole thing go on. Probably carried the biggest weight, and it was incredibly healthy and helpful to me. Well, it was healthy too, but it's hard, when you're trying to do it all. But
yeah.
The news was there. So WIBW, you can actually, if you guys get bored, you can go to WIBW.com, which is Topeka News Station was there, and they filmed it. There's the news. Jackson County commissioners filled common concerns and questions from residents.
I think it was cool that you were able to put the question up on the screen so people could see it.
Yeah, that's all Mossy Oak Parrot.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, that wasn't me at all. There was one of the questions, I'm the bottom picture there on the right is one of the questions that was asked, which was the county budget is up 35% since 2021. All of you have said the county needs to live within your means. And what that's referencing is the questions right before this was quoting their campaign promises. Yeah. And so all of you have said that the county needs to live within their means. Do you think this is living within one's means? And I thought it was, pretty interesting that all three of the commissioners said no, they don't. They don't feel like they're living within the means. Let's see here. It's a beekeeper, right? Frank's Bee says, "Oh, do you mean raise your own queens?" Because I guess you don't really raise the bees.
Yeah.
The bees raise the bees.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Conserve Friend says, we're all electric. We finally replaced our HVAC heat pump. Most neighbors got high efficiency pumps and have 3 times yearly repairs. We got less efficient, no repairs, and still save 25% on our bill. Yeah, the only thing I'd really stress, Conserve Friends, is what? Being dependent on the system for your power is a dangerous game. It is literally, to me, it's playing kind of Russian roulette in a lot of ways. I'm not going to do it. And I know it's not reachable for everybody, but I'd really encourage everybody to do the best they can. Dana Green says, the reason I asked if they had to sign an agreement when taking office is Deborah Tavares got elected and was pressured to sign one and refused, so didn't get the seat. Let's go here. Hey, Permatopia Farms, welcome in. What's up, Mandy? Dana Green says that was in California. Yeah, California's a mess. If we get that far, I've got a slide about California. One Step Closer says, howdy y'all, sounds like the town hall meeting went well. I'm really interested to get to our meeting tomorrow because I want to hear the after action. For me, it was kind of hard because I was the moderator. You're paying attention, and I'm sure Stanley could tell you the same thing in here, that you're paying attention to what's kind of going on at your desk, what's going on the computer screens, and you don't really get a lot of chance to
ponder their answer.
Not just that, but to watch the body language of the audience, right? To see how things are going. But I'll tell you, it was pretty fascinating that we didn't stop till 10 o'clock, and at 9:45 pretty much everybody was still there. There's a few people that had left, but it was still pretty full.
Yeah.
Right up to the end. We had Miss O'Hare, who's running for governor. She's a former state rep, also former county commissioner for Johnson County, which is Kansas City. And she came up to watch, and
nice.
got a chance to talk to her a little bit. We also had our state rep, Sean Wilcott, there, which was really pretty cool. And so we had some, I guess, local political royalty stop by to see what in the world was going on in our little county. Here's just some pictures of the meetings that went on. Again, I opened with just an opening statement. The commissioners then opened with an opening statement. And then we just kind of got right into the questions. The first, 3 or 4 questions were pretty easy questions, like, what do you think the role of a commissioner should be? Or,
who's the highest?
Yeah, those kind of pretty, I would consider them softball questions. But then as soon as we get after that, there were some pretty hard ones that went in there. And I have to give our commissioners some credit. They hung in there, and they took some hard line of questioning from me. There's a time in there where one of the commissioners talks about how they're not raising taxes, and then I had to call him on it, and he goes, "Okay, I'll give it to you." There was some stuff like that that went on that was fun, but I tried really hard to be fair, and that was important to me because I want to do more of these. If you just go in hollering and screaming, you're not going to get anywhere. But the middle picture there, if you guys look, is the commissioners. Those are the 3 commissioners for our county. And the one all the way on the right, his name is Keith. And Keith's the one I know the best, and the one that if I'm upset or whatever, whatever it is, he's usually the one that
gives you a hug.
No, he gets the brunt of tag. The other ones, even though he's not even my commissioner, the lady's my commissioner, and I've never even really had a conversation with her. I normally go after the other guy because I just know him, but let's see here. Can Squatch says Charlotte O'Hare is one of the few conservative politicians in Johnson County. Yeah, I don't know a ton about her. Like I said, I met her for the first time during this meeting, and but she's been texting me, so she texted me good morning this morning, so which is pretty cool. Let's see here. Helen Happy Harvest said, when dealing with officials, they also take orders from higher up. Bottom line is it's like playing Ring Around the Rosie. Nothing gets done in the end. Well, it works a little different, I think, than that in the county. You know, my very first question to them at the meeting was, who's the highest elected official in the county? And I did that on purpose because I wanted to make sure that we were setting the precedence that they are the highest elected official, that the buck stops with them. I've learned in my, speaking career over the years that if you can take away the objection without ever getting it,
Yeah.
it's a good place to be. So, RN says, Tag, do you have any problems with hail breaking solar panels? Nope, not yet. We've had $50 size hail here since I've lived here with solar panels, and it didn't break them. Now, I'm pretty sure that if we had, softball size hail, wouldn't be a good day. So let's see here. Happy Helen Harvest says, I heard you say that, Tag. Yeah. Let's see here. Masio Parrott says a proposed amendment to the Kansas Constitution to her at end of the town hall. Oh, I proposed, sorry, an amendment to the Constitution. What are you looking at?
I don't know. They were circling like more of Westmoreland, and
Okay.
oh, they're back at the other now.
Let's see here. It's okay. We'll get it. My wife, it's so funny that we talk about the duality of man, can be this complete savage in, taking it to a possum, eating a chicken in a turkey coop with a pitchfork or whatever, like can be a complete savage, but then it starts raining outside or
It's usually dark too.
she becomes a big Sally.
No, it just on the if any of you guys are watching and we need to like bail, let us know.
Yeah.
Because the weather guy had our area up, and I was like, "Oh, hey, look!"
Yeah,
but as soon as he looked over, it went to the next.
Yeah. So by the time we finish this live at 9:00 tonight, it won't even be to us yet. We're looking now.
Which is so crazy because my local one says that it will be here at 8:00. So
you just don't have any trust, do you, baby?
Well, no, because that says something totally different than this one.
Yeah.
So how do you know? I mean, obviously one of them's wrong.
No, they're both wrong. So if yours says 8, mine says 9, 8:30 is probably right. Because none of them are right.
There's something in the middle.
Yeah. What else about the town hall? So one of the big issues that I think we've got going on is that our county's budget has gone up 35% since 2021. And that's such a big deal because if you look at incomes, in this county, they've grown 3.97%. If you look at just the economy growing here, it grows very, very slow, so it don't keep up. Inflation since 2021, if you compound it, right, all the years combined, 19.7%. And so, with a county that's grown by 188 people over that same period of time. So you've got,
not much,
right? So you got barely any growth, but you've got budgets that have completely expanded and gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And yet incomes aren't going up. And so there was a part in the meeting where Keith was trying to promote, they want to raise the sales tax by 0.01. And we laughed for
no, just that.
Yeah, and so I asked him in the meeting, I said, hey, you've got a county that's got almost no growth, you've got this budget that's gone up, you've got incomes that aren't very good, blah, blah, blah. When's enough? I mean, here you are asking for more.
And they just raised it for the hospital too.
The hospital just got one, yeah. And so
that's the weather radio.
That's the weather radio. Okay. Scared me for a second. Just for a second. But anyway, it's they're in a hard spot too, and all of their costs go up, and everyone wants. I mean, how many people in the meeting, babe, did you hear, or you guys listening in the audience who have watched it, heard people say, "I need my road to have more gravel." I mean, if we keep demanding more and more services from our government, the cost is going to exponentially go up. There's just no way around it, and every year the staff wants a raise. right? And every year it's just the way it is. And so unless you are actively shrinking the size of government, all you're going to experience is infinite growth. I mean, that's how our whole system is based. In fact, I will tell you that if it ever stops growing, then the whole thing, the whole stack of cards will come crumbling down. You know, let's see here. Regenerative Orchard, welcome in. Good to see you. Hey, I mean, you guys have all checked out Regenerative Orchards or not? But he does a lot of fruit tree work, and that's what I watch it for when I watch it, because that's not my strength. But there's some really good information there if you go to Regenerative Orchards on YouTube. Let's see here. How about the county itemize their budget? It is we the people's money. Oh, they do itemize it, but they do it, I think, in a way that just makes it so hard for the average person to understand. I come from the finance world, and I had to go back through the budget a couple times to get my head wrapped around what exactly was going on. One of the cases they like to make is, like our noxious weed budget here is $500,000 a year. And they're like, yeah, but that's not really true because that also brings money in. I'm like, well, then why are you taxing the people? So you get the tax money and you sell the product. So they sell glyphosate, basically, to farmers. So you make a profit on that, and you tax the people, and you keep both sides.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. RN says, we are blessed. We get to vote on any county tax increases. They cannot raise taxes without voters. Same here. Exactly the same here. They cannot raise taxes, but it's not just taxes. So let me give you an example. So this year, our county was revenue neutral, meaning that the budget did not go up. But in many cases, the housing assessments doubled. So even though they can claim, hey, we did not raise taxes, which technically that's true, many people experienced 100% or a 50% or whatever it is, tax increase because the value of their property increased. So they applied the exact same tax rate to it to say we didn't raise taxes, right? This is the silent tax, right? This is kind of how they get you, right? And so, I don't know. I think it's kind of a crock how they do it, and I wish I could figure out a way to stop it. I think if you go into our Constitution, it clearly, I don't say clearly, but it definitely touches upon this kind of thing, and they should not be able to tax unrealized gains. So the way property tax should work, first of all, we shouldn't have any of it. But let's just say you had to have a property tax. You should pay property tax on the price you paid for it, and then you're going to have to pay property tax on the profits made when you sell it. Just like what happens with anything else. There's nothing else that's taxed on unrealized gains, just your property, which is a crock. American Roots said, last time I checked, my taxes went up just like their expenses. What are my taxes being used for if not to fix these potholes in these roads? Yeah, well, it's Jess, I mean, you're around enough to know it's the new departments and the new this, and the sheriff's budget went up $1 million, right, over that period of time.
And the health insurance went up.
Yeah, health insurance is up $80,000. Their road and bridge is up over $1 million. The school districts, right? 2 of the 3 school districts exploded. One went from 19 million to 30 million in that exact same period of time. One particular school budget went up $7,000 since 2021. That's a great school right there, right? But the other 2 just absolutely exploded. So I mean, it's going to a lot of places. It's not just the county. When your taxes go up, we got to remember that 60% of what you're paying in taxes, and I don't know if it's exactly 60, I'm trying to do the math in my head, goes to the school districts. And then you're paying another percentage to the cemeteries, and you're paying another percentage to this. What the county gets, so I think the county budget in 2025 is like $23 million, when just one of the school districts is $30 million. So just one of the 3 school districts' budget is bigger than the entire county. There's a lot of pieces to that. Let me see here. Can Squatch says the commissioners noted the need for economic development, didn't seem to have much in mind of how to do that. Poo-pooed the idea of creating a position for economic development. Yeah, if no disrespect to any of them, but they're never going to create economic development. It's definitely not in their wheelhouse, or it would already be here, right? Yeah. I know a lot of people who would love to open a business, but
the environment's just not super great. But again, there's the problem, right? I mean, people get upset and they say, hey, why did you give them 10-year tax abatement? Well, because that's what got them here. You know, in that 10-year tax abatement, they agreed to employ 75 people, you know, for the next 10 years. And this was the trade-off we make. Well, guess what? If they're not paying taxes, then guess whose taxes go up, right? Yours.
Yep.
So do you want the business here or not? You know, businesses, and I know this, when we built EMP Shield, I went and looked at all kinds of counties and looked at, okay, what was the best deal I could get for the county,
Yeah.
for the company. Because at the time, my mission when you're doing that isn't what's in the best interest of the county, it's what's in the best interest of the company. And so went and took the best deal that I could get. But, you know, I'm sure that there are people in that county, it's not in my county, but people in that county who are like, man, that's not fair.
Yeah.
But, I mean, so anyway, it's just.
Because part of it was like tax diversion or something.
Yeah. Well, it's all kinds of stuff, you know. And anyway. Mo says, I subscribe to Regenerative Orchard. Good. Helen Happy Harvest says, I know you tag can figure out the budget, but they don't anyone to figure it out. Plus one said he wanted to get $50 million from the Fed. Yeah, so there's all kinds of federal programs out there. And so like one of them they applied for was 35 million, and that's to pave a couple of the main roads through the county. Because in my county, we've got I'd say two, maybe 4 highways. One big
roads.
one big one, meaning that it's, you know, 70 mile an hour to drive through. But there's some main roads that are dirt that go between towns still, and they would like to get them paved.
Well, that way they can take bigger trucks down them and have
But this
more options as far as bringing stuff in.
we got to be careful about that, because even though it's coming from federal money, it's still coming from our taxes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we as a people have got to come to this conclusion that we're okay with less services.
Or more taxes.
I'm not okay with more taxes. I would rather have less services.
Yeah.
This is great. One time during the meeting, we were talking about, remember I asked the commissioners, do they feel like it's living in their means? And they kind of one of the commissioners kind of made a joke into the public about, come on, how many people actually live within their means?
And don't use credit
I'm
cards.
like, I do. And she's like, but you're different. You in the audience, how many people use your credit cards? And this is crazy that we can finance infinite growth on a credit card. That's not growth. You know? Yeah, Can Squatch says, sounds like the school budget needs some closer scrutiny. Yeah, I would love to do a town hall.
No kidding.
And get the schools in there, because I would just, you know, this is something that's super close to my heart. I've read lots about it. And I think we could have a really good town hall meeting. Again, I don't know if I could get them to come, but here's the cool news about it.
I bet the one school with the 7,000 does.
I bet some of them would. And I know some of the school board members at some of the other schools who are good people.
Yeah.
That you could probably get some of them to come. But here's the thing, it only kind of matters. And guys, I encourage you to go out into your community and do this stuff. Because here's the thing, well, let's say that I went and served the commissioners and they said no, they weren't going to come. I'd have had the meeting anyway. I'd have put the sheriff up there. I'd have put some local business owners up there. We would turn it into a totally different meeting. But at the end of the day, then they have to answer to the court of public opinion.
Right.
And I absolutely, if they not come, I absolutely would have stood up on stage and I absolutely would have said, you guys need to remember this when you're at the ballot box. You were so important to them that they didn't bother coming. Right? And so we can do this with the school boards too. I don't need them to agree. What I need to do is serve them and let them know that, hey, you can come or you cannot come, but the result will be published either way. And, is what it is. And I think we have spent how much of our lives sitting around asking permission from the deciders. You don't have to ask permission. Just go do it. Walk in there and say, this is what we're doing. This is when we're doing it. We want to ask you some questions. We, the people, are requesting your appearance. And let the chips fall wherever they happen to fall. Again, court of public opinion is a big deal. And, it's crazy to me. An example of this is during the meeting, we've been fighting a big solar farm for a while. And just my opinion, and I know not everybody will agree with this, I'm not really all opposed to industrial solar, but I can't stand the company that's doing it, because the company that's doing it's crooked, in my opinion. So anyway, I asked the commissioners, I said, how many of you are still for industrial solar? And 2 of the 3 said they are no longer interested. And I think that might have been the single biggest win to come out of that meeting, because if 2 of the 3 aren't interested, and the third one who said was still interested would limit it to 2,000 acres, and NextEra Energy, who's the one who wants to do it, said they need at least 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
So really, they kind of got 3 no votes, and we're not even that far yet. And so now the commissioners are on public record saying they don't support it.
Yeah.
And so this is a really, really, really big deal, and again, might be the biggest win. But again, court of public opinion matters. You know, part of the reason why the commissioners feel the way they feel is because we did a big one of these about industrial solar.
Yeah.
And, you know, got them to hear the people. And I don't want to say that's 100% why they're taking the stand they're taking, but I'll guarantee you it influences it. Let's see here. Where am I at? There we go. ACM said subscribe to Regenerative Orchards. Thank you. Regenerative Orchards. Oops, talking to Mo. Sorry about that. Mo says less services is just what I said earlier. Works for individuals and counties. Yeah, the problem's pulling it off. Mo, there's brilliance in the idea, but don't make it easy to do, you know? Happy Harvest says, Tag, I believe you can run the entire county buyers. No, I couldn't. No.
Get out there and mow.
David says, less services. They need to justify stealing my money for the services we get. I know that's harsh, but it is what it is. I mean, I think, again, we the people have to come to this conclusion that this game of infinite growth is going to end. It's going to end. So we might as well start getting used to the lack of services now. And if you're depending on, if your whole life is dependent upon them writing a check for your road, writing a check for benefits, writing a check for your energy, or you're writing a check for your water, writing a check for your sewer, writing a check for everything, you're so dependent upon it. You got to write it. So just take a step by removing one of them, or removing half of one, or a quarter of one. Any little thing that we can do, right? We're dependent upon Walmart to eat.
Mm. Yeah.
Remove that. Plant one tomato plant is an act of rebellion. Right? How many acts of rebellion can you do this year? And I challenge each one of you.
Or go help out with the community garden, and we try to trade some of, time for some
100%.
produce.
100%. You know, go help some elderly citizen fix their stairs or their wheelchair ramp and don't charge them for it. Right? Go be a little bit of a change and a little bit of a different. But guys, I'm going to tell you, we have to start getting used to less services. We've got to figure out a way to have enough community that we can take care of ourselves, because they are incompetent. And I'm not speaking of our commissioners specifically. I'm talking about the system. There's no way to fix this at the ballot box. You know, here in my little county, we can Band-Aid it. We can maybe make some change and get rid of a couple things here and there and all this. But at the end of the day, the system's huge. Absolutely huge. Let's see here. Ken Squatch says that Fed money doesn't trickle down to everyone, probably just a few construction companies, and they may not even be local. And that was another thing about the solar farm I really didn't like, is it wasn't going to produce any jobs. So it was going to take good productive farmland, right? We were going to have an environmental risk with a company that's shady, and it was going to produce no jobs. Carrie Davis says, to be in political office, you should be able to balance their own bank accounts. Yeah, good luck with that. Although I would argue that in our particular case, our commissioners are probably fairly good at that. But again, this is small town, right? I mean, this meeting that had, we'll just call it 200 people that showed up at a big meeting from our county. You know, this would be an excessive size of meeting. You know, they have at a normal county commissioners meeting, there might be 2 or 3 people there, right? Yeah, Terminator says, I don't own a credit card and never will. Grateful Hearts Ranch, howdy says, a crack in the dam. Yeah. Wasn't the 2,000 acres to be on conjunction with a nuclear plant? No. So CanSquatch, what they want to do is they want to put the 2,000 acres next to a coal burning plant that is already here. And that's in the next county over, right on the county line, called Jeffries Energy. And they want it in conjunction so they can use the power lines, the transmission lines.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so their talk of building a nuclear plant would be in lieu of their idea of the solar, and it would also have to be by Jeffries. again, because of the transmission lines. Yeah, I appreciate the vote of confidence, Helen, but I'm getting tired. There we go. Helen, it is. Scott also subscribed to Regenerative Orchard. Cool. Very good. Let's see here. Mandy says we can start with no property tax for seniors or retired age. See, this is a great idea. This is a step in the right direction, right? If we can't eliminate it in one big swing, can we just start the process and say, hey, once someone retires, no more property tax until they sell, right? I think that would be an absolute great idea. I think stopping the unrealized gains, making them just be able to tax you annually on what you paid for it, would be a step in the right direction. But Conserve Friends for the Win says all governments are inefficient. Yes, they are. Hey, Mary Michelle, welcome in. Let's see here. Happy Helen Harvest said, this week I went around to the neighbors for community watch to help each other. There you go, an act of rebellion. Right there. I don't remember the person who, somebody will be able to tell us from the audience, but who said the quote, but it's the quote goes, my goal is to be so absolutely free that my mere existence is an act of rebellion. I think it was Calamus. I think so. If you're hearing this, you are the resistance. Amen. Amen. Let's see, your best way to store food is on the hoof or branch. Join the resistance and plant a tree today. Another great example.
Plant too.
Regenerative Orchard is plant a tree is an act of rebellion, right? Every little thing that we can do to become less dependent on a system set to enslave us, I think is a wise move on our part. Just do it, you know, and if you go out there and you make some big stride in your act of getting free, let me know about it. We'll make a big deal out of it. It's a big deal, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of work and a lot of conviction, right? I've thrown my hammer many a times, and I've quit this lifestyle more times than I can tell you, because it can absolutely be hard. Oh, look at that, babe. Look at that whole line developed right there. See that?
Yeah, the National Weather Service just said something.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm just trying to watch the weather a little bit, right?
Oh, they just extended the tornado watch to 16 counties.
Helen says, I live by rural farms too. Yeah, go by there. You want to talk about another way, Helen? Right? To an act of rebellion, go buy directly from the farmer. Cut the middleman out. Cut it out. You know, or even better yet, barter with them. Don't even use money. Right? All of those is an act of rebellion. Hey, Squatchy, what's up? Squatchy says, tag, it is for sure exhausting. It is exhausting. You know, it's crazy. We're getting ready to meet tomorrow to just talk about, you know, the after action from the meeting, and you know, I want a month or two off.
Yeah.
I've got so many things to do. You know, I've neglected my farm, neglected my shop. I've got 8 projects I'm trying to get finished, and I just haven't had time. You know, this last 2 weeks, I've pretty much spent every day preparing for this meeting, getting everything in order the best that I could.
Yeah.
So Helen says, B is super smart, but I don't want her to work. Yeah, well, the problem is she gotta work. If she don't work, we're gonna be eating out of Walmart. Right?
Yeah.
That's how that works. Hermatopia says, I am hosting our small town garden club meeting at our property and hoping to bring awareness to growing
Oh, nice.
your own food. Mandy, that is
Good job.
absolutely wonderful. If there is any way I can help you, you let me know. If I can come in on a video call sometime, you let me know. I'm 100% game, 100%. Let me know, and congratulations to you. Tag, explain that what you just said. Okay. Explain what I just said. I talk a lot, Helen. I don't know what I just said. I don't know what you're referring to. Sorry.
She said, I live by real farms too.
Mm-hmm.
What did she say before that?
Yeah. Dan Green says, wood cooking.
Yeah. Oh, I made a video last night and I forgot to post it.
Did you?
Yeah, wood cooking.
What'd you make?
The chicken
Chicken and rice?
chicken and rice.
Yeah, it was good. B does work very hard.
What'd you make?
About
did
me
you
in
eat
the
it?
rural area. Oh, what I was saying, Helen, was just, you know, another way to you know, be rebellious. Another way to be part of the rebellion is to eliminate the middleman and buy directly from a farmer. Right? We try really hard to do these kinds of things. You know, we get our bread somewhere else, we get our milk somewhere else, but none of it's in the system. You know, we don't go to a store to buy it. You know, we find someone who does it, and then we try to, you know, do business with them, and we're going to continue to do that. So really what I was just talking about is just try to eliminate money at every opportunity you can and try to build relationships with those farmers. You know, if you can find a way to barter, it's even better, right? I mean, if you can go barter, hey, I'd like to get a gallon of milk a week. Can I come work 1 hour a week on your farm or whatever, you know?
Can I help milk them?
Help milk them or whatever it is, yeah. Oh, Helen says I buy from all the farms. Wonderful. Yeah, I hear this a lot. Grateful Hearts Ranch says if you want something done, ask a busy person to do it. Yeah. I don't like that saying. Just saying it's true, but I don't really like it. You know? Let's see here. B, I think Tag needs some fresh cinnamon rolls. They're
Yeah.
here.
Are you coming to
Here.
make them?
Yeah, and so we're almost all the way through the winter. How many cinnamon rolls did you make me this winter, B?
I didn't make any.
See? You guys should feel sorry for me.
None.
You really should.
Not at all.
I'm abused.
Nothing.
Yep.
I've made
Helen-
cookies.
Helen says, me milk cows. You can do it, Helen. I promise you can do it.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Yep. All right. What do you got going on here? B sent me this
Oh,
picture,
yeah,
which is
look at that.
crazy.
Our Walmart, our local Walmart is not a super center. It's just a small town Walmart. Is selling chicken supplies. So it's like chicken grit and chicken starter. And there's some hydro hen and whole end cap of chicken supplies. I think that's even a brooding kit at the bottom there.
So our local Walmart is selling chicken supplies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is the first time they've had these things.
Does anybody else's Walmart sell chicken food and brooding boxes and that kind of stuff?
Like Tractor Supply store stuff.
David says, wood cooking triggers me hard. I haven't eaten anything in 56 days, just water and juice, trying to reset my system.
Oh my gosh, 56 days?
Yeah, that's a long time. I'd start eating if I was you.
Water and juice? Are you doing your own juicing?
Mandy says, I like it when B is on vacation and not working. I know, right? She spends a lot of time there.
Yeah.
A lot of time there. I did find this article interesting that Vital Farms confirmed that its pasture-raised hens are routinely fed a supplement diet primarily made of corn and soybean meal.
Yeah. that
So,
makes sense.
so Vital Farms pasture-raised eggs are fed corn and soy.
Yeah.
So don't put too much weight in pasture-raised. Let's see here. Jen says our Walmart in Southern California did best price for mealworms. Really?
In Southern California.
Frank Speed says learn about lamb's quarter, nettles, pigweed, great food, wild plants.
Mhm.
Yep, I'm pretty familiar with. I don't know what pigweed is, but I know what the other ones are. And Frank Speed, B and her Wood Witch friends, they make all kinds of lotions and potions from all that stuff out there. David says yes, cold pressed juices. See, Dana says, check for ingredients, laugh out loud, might have hidden arm tickets. Yeah. Helen says, Vital Farm eggs, the yolks are very orange. Yeah, I just think it's completely misleading. Vital Farm, they're selling it as pasture raised, but they're fed on corn and soy. Yeah. Jen says pigweed is the devil. I'm not even sure what that is.
A weed.
We probably just call it something else out here. Oh, it's amaranth. Does that grow out here wild?
Amaranth, yeah.
Okay. That's definitely a bee thing. Why don't you tell them what's going on since I've been talking for a while?
Well, the first picture is Rowdy making my potato yard, I guess. He decided that we were going to put the pile directly on top of the dirt, and instead of one big mound that was 60 feet long, he was going to do 5 rows that were 20 feet long. So we have this whole corner of the food forest is going to be potatoes. And then the hay bale there, I'm going to put the potatoes in the mounds and then put the hay over top of the...
Yeah, we did it two different places. Right? So you got mounds in Garden 1, and you got mounds in the food forest. Right?
Yeah, garden one. Yeah. I'm thinking of putting some of them over there.
Well, you got 100 pounds of seed potato to plant.
Yes, and I have to get a plan going. I think I want to try to do the Three Sisters garden in that area by the
You have been trying to do the Three Sisters
I
garden forever, and
know.
you've never been successful at it.
Because I have to plant the corn like way earlier than everything else. Because they have to be tall enough in order to support the vines of the others.
Okay, what's your other picture? Because these are
Oh,
great
the
pictures.
sky! Look at that. So this was just a very small glimpse of the sky, but there's like 7 lines right there in that one little spot. Of course, we're having these gigantic storms right now, and just a couple days ago, our skies were just covered in tracks
Yep, and
And we
now
were-
we have big storms.
everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Helen wants to know what David's eating for protein. Anyway,
These are the mangotes. So I should have taken the pictures up from the top part down to see how big they are. These are Nigerian dwarf goats. Nigerian,
the bee keeps saying they're going to have kids, but
you think they're just
fat.
You think I just feed them
Babe,
way
they
too
have
much?
they have unlimited amounts of food to eat everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And they can just sit on top of the cows and just
Right.
eat right from the bale. Actually,
Right.
the one of them was sitting up on top of the bale. So, because she had jumped up on the cows and then jumped up onto the bale, and so she just sits up on the top of the bale and just sits there and eats.
It's
And then
why'd you send me a picture of a turkey?
I'm not sure. She's not supposed to be in there. She is supposed to be on the other side she's inside with the goats. So when the storm came, I put the goats in the barn and shut them in. And she came in the cow section and went over, like jumped, I don't know how many fence, at least 2 to get over to where she was.
Oh, this is interesting. Sorry. I'll get back to that one. Nito says, I use toilet paper rolls to get a head start on corn because corn doesn't transplant well, but it seems to work for me.
What do you mean you use
He
toilet
plants
paper?
the seed and puts the toilet paper roll over it. As to block some of the weather, probably. Give it a kind of a head start.
You put a cardboard tube over your seedling in the yard?
Conserve Friend says, I saw that one's Walmart sell ground beef with an ingredients list, ground beef, natural flavors, and a few other things.
Oh.
Fooling with our nation's food again. Yeah, do you know, guys know the thought of buying meat at Walmart repulses me. Like, it's the whole idea is so gross to me. Like, but we've been on our own, meat supply for so long.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah,
Why would they put natural flavors inside of ground beef?
because the ground beef isn't natural. That's why it doesn't taste like natural. You want a natural flavor something.
What do you think it is then if it's not ground beef?
Oh, it's probably beef parts. Right.
That would be beef.
Yeah, beef parts. But probably
Our ground beef is beef parts.
no, our ground beef is beef muscle ground up into burger. I don't know what's in all of theirs, but it could absolutely be hooves and skins and, whatever. Okay, Nito says, no, I start them indoors in a tray and then transplant them out. Yeah. American Root says your hen is beautiful.
This is this is my old original girl.
Manure is natural flavored. Yeah, mow for the win. Oh, hey, I really wanted to show you guys this. I thought this was really, really cool. I don't know how well you can see it, but if you look at that cedar tree, we have all of a sudden been welcomed into a family of crows. We have our own, they call it a whole bunch of crows together, they call it murder, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all of a sudden have a murder of crows hanging out around the paddock 1 where the chickens and turkeys like to run around, which I think is fabulous because it'll keep the aerial predators out a lot. But if you look on that cedar tree, there's 3
I think
crows.
2.
There's one there, there's one there, and there's one there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see.
Yep. And yeah, Dana Green says lips and toes laugh out loud.
Mm.
Jess says they raise the cow in their own crap. It tastes like that. We noticed it a lot more when we started eating with you guys and having more grass-fed beef.
Huh.
Yeah, I am. I know that a lot of people do it, and I'm not knocking you. You want to buy your beef at Walmart, knock yourself out. If you're happy, I support your quest to be happy, but I'm telling you, it absolutely disgusts me, the idea of buying meat at Walmart. Yeah, let's see here. David says buying meat from anyone but the farmer or local butcher is insane, in my opinion. I agree, and I think I'm a meat eater. B's a meat eater, and we're just going to raise our own. We're going to raise them from babies, and we're going to love them and love them and love them until the day they give their life for us, and that's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see here. America Root said cowboy tasted so good and pure, it made us spoiled. Part of the reason why cows are on my list this year. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so Cowboy, you guys probably remember from lives met a long time ago. Cowboy was who's in our freezer now, right?
Right.
We're eating on Cowboy now, but
Little bit still.
yeah, a little bit. But he, never once raised in his own shit. Was out in the field, was eating, was just living naturally, doing his thing. So let's see here. Mario says we bought a half a beef from Luke and Camille, and the flavors like no other. No need for any sauces. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is true not just for our natural raised beef, but I think it's true for your natural raised turkeys. I think it's true for your tomatoes and your eggs. They all just taste so much better. Will Be Cool said, I'd rather have lips and toes added than natural flavors. I can probably agree with you.
Well, yeah.
Squatchy says, gag me with a spoon on that Walmart meat. Yeah. We see the article questions if they were using lab created beef meat. Yeah, I'm just not playing the game. We've got a good system going on here. We're not quite to the size we want to be because I'm still trying to figure out. I want to grow a beef for B and I want to grow a beef for my boys. And so I want to have 2 ready to butcher every single year.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got to have them, and then you've got to raise them, and they've got to get so big and all that stuff. So I'm still working on
if they would eat a half.
Oh,
I don't know if they would eat a half a beef in a year.
Well,
That's a lot of hamburger for a young couple.
I don't know. We do it.
I know, but we feed a lot of people.
That's true.
And before we fed a lot of people, we had the kids at home. We went from teenage boys to community members.
Mm-hmm.
And we use a lot of beef for that.
Yeah. Let's see here. Helen says I buy from the Mennonites and Amish. Yeah, can't go wrong there. Salt and pepper on our grass-fed beef.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
American Root says I will never eat a store-bought turkey again if I can raise my own. They are so much better. They are so much better. And a lot of people get caught up in the whole, oh, how do you kill your pets? Well, here's the thing, guys, and I really encourage you to look at it like this: is that when that animal comes to me, whether it's born or it's hatched or whatever it is, we make a deal, and the deal is that I'm going to give it the absolute best life I can. I'm going to let it free range. I'm going to make sure it's protected. I'm going to do everything I can to give it the best life. But there's going to come a day where I'm going to ask it to give its life for my family, and I'm going to live through to my end of the deal. I won't beat them. I will be nice to them. I'll make sure they live a great life.
Spoil them.
I'm going to spoil them. I'm going to make sure they get snacks. The next one we butcher from a cow, his name's Freeman. And
He's so nice.
he is so nice. He wraps his head around my leg, and I scratch his ears, and he just is such a good guy. But because I lived through my end of the deal, he's going to live through his. It doesn't bring me pleasure, but at the same time, it really doesn't bring me grief either. And I know that might sound weird, but it just doesn't.
Well, no, because it
you know?
provides nourishment for your family for the next year. So
Mhm.
that is the gratefulness.
Did you see the CEO of McDonald's eat that new burger? Barf. Yeah, that was gross. I almost put it in the live tonight, but I didn't. But Hey, Frank Spees said, I worked at the Schuyler plant for 11 years, got to pick my own marbled meat. Did you know I owned property, Frank Spees, in West Point? Not very far from there. Yeah, Squatchy well said. They live a great life and have one bad day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Basically.
Yeah. Let's
Good
see.
way to say that.
Yeah. Yep. I raise meat for my daughter and grandson. Toupee wearing beef. You know, the Freeman's got this. Looks like he's wearing a toupee.
He's just got long hair.
Yeah. Yeah. Squatchy says, I encourage everyone to raise their own whatever they can. Guys, I'm telling you, everything you can do like that is an act of rebellion. And every single thing you do like that lessens your dependency on a system that's very, very fragile.
Yeah.
And, you know, I would never, ever put all of my eggs in a basket of the invisible man. Right? I know it's easier. You can just close your eyes and say, oh, they'll take care of it. Yeah, till they won't. Till they don't. I mean, we just had not far from here a big whole county got shut down on water. They couldn't drink their water. Right?
That happens often.
Yeah, I mean, no
All
thank you.
over.
Yeah, no thank you. Mo says, my daughter had several slaughterhouses as clients. She was mad. I wanted Amish meat before she toured them. She isn't against it anymore. Yeah, it's funny what happens when you know, grow up, right? It's part of being a farmer. Raise it and eat it. Yep. Again, I take no pleasure in dispatching my animals, but at the same time, I really don't take any displeasure either. It's not like that, you know. It's just it's part of the process, and you know, they're here so that we can thrive and so that we can, you know, be successful. And then because of that, I owe them the greatest life I can give them. And I think for me, that's how I get through it. You
agree.
kill a lot of animals, so
I agree. Well,
chickens,
some of those
turkeys.
were on accident. So,
I don't mean those. I'm not talking about waterboarding chickens. I'm talking about butcher time.
oh,
You know, do you probably did?
yes, I get it done.
Mhm.
No, I don't like doing it,
Mhm.
but
All meat sold in supermarkets by law is sprayed with preservatives. Yeah. No thanks.
gross.
Yep. No thanks. Just a reminder for you guys, again, we are posting our community events on Great Plains Homestead Happenings on Facebook. I would encourage you guys to go over there. And again, just all the events. I'll post them here too. So you can just watch the lives too, and that'll take care of that. And then don't forget our spring festival is coming up
I
on
gave you the new one that doesn't say that.
which one? Oh, April the 11th, 12 p.m. Our Spring Fest is coming up, and so we would love to have you guys. As many people want to come. It's a complete public event. We're just going to have ourselves a good time, eat lots of food, and it will be fun.
Lots of activities, food, eating at 4.
Jen says the apple didn't count.
The apple?
Yeah,
No, that didn't count. That was an accident. I can't believe you were there listening to witness that.
Be pegged at with a turkey or chicken.
It was a chicken.
A chicken in the head with an apple she threw. It was quite.
It was
funny.
awful.
She didn't mean to. She just thrown it out for them, and just it ran into it or whatever. But the stronger the feeling for your animal, the more it means to me, at least. Yeah, I honor it. It's an honoring thing. I don't take it lightly. I'm gonna miss Freeman a ton.
Yeah.
Because he's my buddy. But at the same time, you know, we made a deal. Because her friend says, 2 bad days, there's that branding thing. Laugh out loud. Yeah, we don't brand.
Banding.
Oh, banding. Oh, yeah. The banding thing. I thought he said branding. Yeah.
The banding.
Yeah, we did that.
Of
Yeah,
the
they
thing.
they probably didn't like having their testicles banded, but that's all
It's
right.
probably worse when they fall off, isn't it? I mean,
I
come
don't.
on.
I've never been through the banding process. I don't know.
It was actually what I didn't notice after. No, that's not true. There was one that did have some kind of like spot, and I sprayed it with some cleaner, wound cleaner, because it was like, yeah, you don't want. It was not. It was open, so no. I just wanted any infections.
Read Gypsy's comment.
I have to remember not to make a deal with you. Let's try to ban him.
Yeah. I definitely banded a lot. I see more in the future. Yeah, I really want to get from a cow perspective to a place where I'm producing 2 for butcher every year. That's my rotation, and that allows me to make a
Well, because
mistake and
then
still
they
be
have to
okay.
grow. They have to grow a year. You don't want
Yes,
to butcher it
2.
for 1 year. You have to, yeah, it's
Right.
right.
So you got to have 2 steers
Right. Staggered.
staggered. So that's 6 right there, right? In order to just keep that rotation going, then you got to have their moms, right?
Yeah.
You got to get that whole.
I need bigger than 7 stalls.
No, I think 7's the perfect number actually. We'll see.
Yes, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Pete says 2 would be amazing. Frank B says, how far is it from North Bend to Holton, Kansas? I'm gonna guess here.
7 hours?
No. 4 hours.
Well, you got 2 to Lincoln.
You got 2 to Lincoln, so we're 2 hours from Lincoln. Because I'm in the northeast corner of Kansas, Frank's Bees. So I'm pretty close to I'm in Nebraska in an hour. Maybe even a little less than that. So we're 2 hours to Lincoln, and I would say North Bend's 2 hours north of Lincoln. Guessing a little bit. Let's see here. Did you guys have Airbnb up for people to rent on your property yet? If I am correct, I heard you guys talking about it at one point. Yeah, no, we don't. We last year built the community center. I'd love to get to some Airbnbs someday, but right now, we've got, with everything goes on in the community and all the stuff going on, I just don't have time.
It's just a warehouse.
Yep. So
We built the warehouse.
yes, the houses the community
That
events.
we get together in
Mm-hmm.
it, but it's just a place to store stuff.
Lou says that's my girl bee.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lou is
We're talking cows
so
now.
Gypsy's better half, Lou and B. Don't ever send them shopping together. That's my only advice.
We buy cows.
Yeah. Yeah, they go shopping and I get a $50,000 bill.
It wasn't 50.
Okay.
She was only 3.
So Frank's Bee says 1 hour to Lincoln from North Bend. So we're about 3 hours.
3
from there.
hours.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, I'd love to see you guys at the spring event. The one after that will be, I'm assuming, I don't know if Scott's in here still or not, but if Scott's picked a date yet, but I'm assuming this year the Freedom Festival will be on the 4th of July because I believe that's a Saturday. I
I don't know.
I don't know for sure, but Scott, if you're in here, if you'd confirm or deny that, that'd be great. When I go to the grocery store, I can still afford to look at the meat. Beef tenderloin is $30+ per pound for filet. Yeah. Yeah, it's so expensive. I have no idea what our beef cost us because I don't keep track of it, probably because it'd be depressing. But you know, by the time you feed them and you know all of that kind of stuff.
I don't know because now buying 3,000 pounds of food for $300
Mm-hmm.
and then doing it that way. I mean, basically the hay was if we can get back. We let our fields rest because we seeded them.
Yeah.
So once we get back to being
Haying
able
'em.
to hay them or graze them,
Yeah.
then we will be able to not buy hay or hay.
Yeah, David says, what would be cool is some RV parking spots maybe someday. Yeah. Well, I actually already have the infrastructure for that. So it would be pretty easy for a couple now. It would take me a little bit of infrastructure work to get.
You don't have water hookup.
But yeah, I've got it ran out there though. And it's running up out of the ground. So literally all someone would have to do is pull up next to it. I could come down there, cut the line, put a spout on it, and it's water. I mean, it would take me 5 minutes to have water there because the line's already sitting up there. So,
Is there water in it?
yes.
There's
Well,
water in that line.
no, it's turned off at the tank. It's turned off at the water source. All I gotta do is go turn the valve on and it's live.
Okay, so that's something we'll have to drain later.
No, I buried that line 10 feet in the ground.
Okay, so you're putting a hydrant on it.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a hydrant on the other side, and then that'll be just that. But it's there. Yeah, what's your health worth? Yeah, a lot. How many people are following you and from out of state, David? I have no
We
idea.
don't know.
bud. I have no idea. I've got
There's 55 people on here. We don't even know
yeah
who
and-
they are.
Yeah, there's well, we know some of them. I mean, we know a fair amount of them. and
Right,
there's
but not all 50.
yeah, there's 9,000 people on YouTube and 2,000 people on Facebook. So
Why don't you do that? Say, who are you?
Yeah, if you've never commented and you're listening to the live, I'd love to hear from you. You know, I'd love to say hello.
Where are you from?
Yep,
Drop in
Texas,
the comment.
Mississippi, Tennessee. Look at that.
All over.
Yep, I'll continue to post them as we go along. All right, let's get rid of that one. Then it's just you and me, and then we'll do some good news. In Frank's Bees, Nebraska. You know, Frank's Bees, when I was looking for where I wanted to live in this lifestyle, my preferred place was to be in the southeastern corner of Nebraska. Was number one. I just couldn't find a deal there. So we ended up buying where we bought, which we're pretty close to that, but that was my originally first choice. Maryland, Northern Nevada, they go by fast. Arkansas, Spokane, Washington, Alabama.
Out of
Me-
state.
Yeah. Mo says I'm out of state. It's in my name. Mo. He lives in Missouri. Florida, Maine, Missouri. Susan Channel, how are you? Welcome in. Yeah, there's a lot of Missourians in here. Mo's from Missouri. Right there. Well, wherever you're from, we're super happy to have you. And I would love, love, love to meet more and more of you, you know, as we do the events. Carrie's from Arkansas. We have a lot of Arkansans, I think is the way you would say that. We have a lot of Arkansans in here too. Well, guys, should we get to maybe some good news?
You got any?
I do.
You want to refresh that?
Yeah, okay. Hold on. He wants me to refresh the weather so she doesn't have a coronary. Yeah, look. Still a ways away. So this says it's going to be on top of us right there. Yep, so about 9:30. What do you think?
Got it.
Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, Jen says go Hogs. Yeah. Frank wants to know where everybody's from. Tony. Tony's from Illinois. How are you, Tony? Welcome in. All right. I'll keep posting them as people post them in. I'm sure you guys have all been watching the stuff going on in Iran. There's a lot of stuff that I find so incredible about the whole thing. You know, it kind of started as some negotiations, you know, that they said went back and forth. Now, my level of trust in what they tell me is almost zero, so it's hard to tell. But you know, Trump talked about how he gave Iran a chance to make a deal, and they just wouldn't make a deal. And funny how Putin has come out and said there was a deal and that they agreed, but then Trump backed out. So who actually knows? But he did say to the great people of Iran, I say tonight is your hour of freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your homes. It's very dangerous. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. And I think that happened. I'm not 100% sure. And kind of what I mean by that is there's so much misinformation. I don't even say it's misinformation. There's so many different perspectives on what's actually happening over there. I kind of feel like partly like we're just totally being lied to. And then there's another part that says, well, you know, maybe not. But anyway, it's super complicated. I'm gonna cover a lot of that stuff tonight. I think it was also interesting how after he starts getting questioned about whether he has authority and all of that stuff. Yeah, Frank Speed says 0, right? 0. Lisa's from Southern Kansas. See here, and David says fascinating thing about psyops are they are almost always serve multiple objectives. Yeah. I don't know if you know this, David, but one of my very best friends in the world and a guy I'm in business with a lot is a guy who spent 16 years in the military and psychological operations. And he is definitely a trip. I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, when Trump was questioned about whether or not he'd have power or not, whether or not he could do this and those kind of things, he said that he had a feeling, these are his words, that Iran was going to attack us first. And so I always get irritated as the story changes along the way. You hot?
Yeah.
You mean to open the window for you?
No, you're fine.
You sure?
Yep.
You having your own personal summer?
Yep. Just hanging out here.
But I hate how the story changes, and I hate how we play identity politics. And so I'm going to point it out at every opportunity that I can. David says, did you know that the Iran's banking system isn't Rothschild controlled? I know, and actually kind of one of the ones. Well, I mean, look at BRICS. I mean, BRICS just lost the eye, right? Let's see here. Will Be Cool says, I hate the war. Gas has gone up 40 to 50 cents already. We are just a puppet. Yeah, and it's not just gas. It's a lot of other things, and we'll get into that. Just prior to them starting the whole thing too, I thought it was interesting that they started seeing reports coming out, like this one was out of BRICS News, that was talking about how Iran had begun taking American hostages. And then I find it fascinating that there ain't a peep of it after that.
Wow.
You know, so like they start talking. It wasn't just this source. There was a bunch of sources that said it. In fact, Senator Marco Rubio, or Secretary of State Marco Rubio, said just right before the whole thing happened, said he just exposed that the Iran must free all wrongfully detained Americans, designate them state sponsor of wrongful detention. Yeah, Mo for the win. Mo for the win.
Yet.
Yet. Right. Keyword. Oh, G-Dog, what's up, buddy? Says, I thought BRICS was India. BRICS is India. You were right. Anyway, so they talk about all of these. What I find so sad is that there's this big push about them taking hostages, and then all of a sudden they start bombing, and you don't hear a peep. There's no word of any hostages. I haven't been able to find any. You know, so it kind of feels like the whole setup for weapons of mass destructions. Then, as you know, there's all of this stuff, how the Democrats right now are talking about how Trump doesn't have the authority, when the fact is Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 says Congress shall have the power to declare war and grant letters of marque and reprisal, and makes rules concerning captures on land and water. So according to the Constitution, he doesn't have the authority. But what I find interesting is that Nancy Pelosi says that they have the authority, and she said it by saying President Obama does not need congressional authority to take military action in Libya, and I think he has the authority. Going a step further, Hillary Clinton said that if she was president, she'd be bombing Iran anyway. Oh, that was in 2008, right? And then, ironically enough, the one person who has argued that the president doesn't have the authority is actually Donald Trump, who said back in 2013 the president must get congressional approval before attacking Syria. It's a big mistake if he does not. So Trump has said the president doesn't have authority, and now he says he has authority. And Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton said that they do have the authority. Thomas Massey says they don't have the authority. And so I did a little digging, and so you know, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, George Bush Jr., Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden have all used this authority without going to Congress. So when you listen to the left and the right bantering back and forth who has authority, it's just theater.
Mm-hmm.
That is all it is theater. And they all do it. It's the same exact bird. Which wing are we looking at? Right, that's it. G-Dog says, oh, how odd how Cuba is next. Then 1.5 years from now, perhaps North Korea, to get everyone lined up with Rothschild. Yeah, I actually think about, I'm not really sure what the play is in Cuba beyond it just being right at our border. I mean, so that obviously could be it. You know, Venezuela and Iran make some sense because they're going to control, America's going to control the whole world's, not the whole world's, but a huge chunk of the world's oil supply. But anyway, so I did a little bit of research too. The War Powers Resolution Act of 1973, also known as the War Powers Act, is the U.S. federal law, right, enacted on November 7th, 1973 over President Nixon's veto, and it was designed to check the president's power to initiate or escalate military actions abroad without congressional approval, aiming to ensure that decisions to commit U.S. armed forces to hostile involved the collective judgment of both Congress and the president. So it did give him some say in it, but I didn't see where anywhere the Democrats are referring to the War Powers Act of 73. And when I read the War Powers Act of 73, it doesn't say what they say it says. So really what I get out of this is the Republicans and the Democrats both think the president has the authority. And then the Republicans and the Democrats both disagree that the president has the authority. And so I'm really confused. I don't know. I don't know who has the authority. Right.
And neither does the internet.
Right. But here's the good news. We don't have to worry about it because Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, came out and said the United States is not at war with Iran. So Donald Trump can continue bombing, dropping bombs in without triggering Article 2. I'm really confused. That's why I put my picture of my buddy George Orwell up there, right? Because we are not at war. Let me make sure I got this right.
Right. Maybe say it slower. Maybe we'll understand it if you say
Okay,
it
we
slower.
can read it again slower.
Yeah.
Mike Johnson
Okay.
says the United States.
And there's a picture of him.
That's
so-
him right
okay,
there. Yeah.
Okay.
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 We are not at war with Iran.
Okay. Not.
We're
Got it.
not.
Okay.
We're not at war with Iran. So Donald Trump can continue dropping bombs.
Can continue to drop bombs.
Yes. Yes. This is news.
Maybe he's not talking about bombs. Maybe he's talking about different bombs.
We're not talking about bonbons.
Bombs.
This is the shit that irritates me to no end, is this stuff right here. Right? I mean, yeah, there you go. American Roots for the win. Mike Johnson is the real Johnson. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. G-Dog says, not war, aggressive negotiations.
G-Dog, are you our neighbor?
Oh my goodness. How can they even say this with a
It's
straight face?
ridiculous.
I mean, how can they even say this? And more importantly, how do we, the people, buy any of
Well, I was
this?
going to say that.
Oh
he
my
said
goodness.
It, but then there's people who hear it and think that it's okay that he said it.
Does it make sense to you?
No.
Oh, just checking. Just because I punched you in the face and then kicked you in the jewels doesn't mean we're fighting. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Now, guys, let me be clear.
Oh, it's a man thing.
Let me-
Oh, it's a man thing. That's you punch each other when you walk past each other. It's just a little bomb.
No, I don't think that's quite how that works. We have flown the biggest sorties that have been flown since the Persian Gulf War. We have more firepower over there than's been massed since the war, right? We're flying non-stop bombing raids, and in fact, they're saying tonight will be the biggest,
Yeah.
right? They're blowing up everything. How can that and the enemy, or we want to call the enemy, Iran, right, is launching bombs and missiles back, which we're going to talk a lot about that tonight because I find that whole thing completely interesting. But how they can say that this isn't war, I mean, they just keep changing our language. I mean, look, they did it with assault rifles. It used to be 10 years ago, an assault rifle, if you looked it up in the dictionary, is a select fire rifle or select fire weapon. Now, somehow, a semi-automatic and assault rifle are the same thing. Which makes no sense. Okay, let me see here. The left can lie, so the right can lie also. Right.
There you go.
Lots of politicians are liars. Yes. Mo says, so to conquer the U.S. in war, you just got to stop 50% of the Senate or the House from voting for it. Sounds easier than using tanks. You would think it would sound easier. What a mess. George Orwell was such a smart human being. This is complete newspeak. How is it not? There's a lot of talk about this is, going to be over here in a matter of a couple weeks. And I just thought to put it in a little bit of perspective for you guys tonight, that I would show you guys a map, which I often do, of the countries that are at war today and from across the globe. And I don't know what it counts to be in a world war, right? I don't know how many more countries have to get involved, but I keep updating this map, and it was actually interesting. In the time that I was building this today, right towards the end, Azerbaijan warned Iran this will not be forgotten because a bomb dropped on, so now they're moving all of their artillery, so that added another country that isn't red at this point in time. So I think it's I don't know, what do you guys think? I mean, is this just a 2-week ordeal and going to be done? Let's see here. Where are we at? Right there, Jen. They must have their Winston adapting the definitions, clearly. Ren says, I think the 1973 Power Act went into place to keep another Vietnam conflict, which lasted years, from happening again. Short conflicts are okay, not a long, protracted war titled a conflict. Yeah, and this ain't going to be quick. No way. Helen, how about, I'm sorry, Helen says, how about when the news said 3 American planes shot down by friendly fire? Friendly fire? I'm actually going to talk about that. Who in South America is on the list? Venezuela. Venezuela. Yeah, and it's probably chilled out a lot there. I don't know. I mean, again, what do we know about what's actually going on? I'm going to talk a lot about that tonight too. Let's see here. Recently, Germany, UK, and France are getting ready to carry out strikes on Iran. So I think it was interesting how the United Kingdom said we are not going to allow Americans to use our bases to bomb Iran. And then next thing you know, they say, okay, we'll let you use them for defensive purposes only. And then just today, the UK came out and said they're going to join the fight. Italian defense minister says Italy plans to deploy multi-domain forces in the Middle East, including air defense systems to counter drones and missiles, in coordination with Spain and France to support Cyprus. So Spain, which is one I don't have on my list, is apparently going to enter it too. Let's see. Cuba and Greenland should be pink. Yeah, I almost put Canada pink too. Gypsy says the last proclaimed war was World War II. Yep. Yep. Let's see here. My spider senses are tingling here. Something is up. China suddenly halts refined production exports. The U.S. military asks critical mineral producers for support. The Trump administration facilitates a large gold order between the U.S. and Venezuela. This was breaking today all over the place. So apparently, America purchased, I don't know the terms of the deal, a whole bunch of gold coming out of Venezuela, and there have been boatloads, literally boatloads of gold being moved from Venezuela into the United States. Now, according to the article, that order is 1,000 kilograms of gold that is being shipped to the United States. I don't really know if that's true as far as amount goes and all of those kind of things, but that is odd. French President Emmanuel Macron just pointed this out and proudly announced that the European Union military is begun seizing Russian oil tankers. So now you've got Europe and Russia at it again. And don't forget, I'm not even talking about Russia and Ukraine, right? Which is also going on simultaneously. A prophecy of World War III, almost 1/3 of the population will perish, and it will be the most disastrous end times to humanity. And it got me thinking today, and I've talked about this before, and I know a lot of you guys are familiar with the Dangle Report. Mm-hmm. And so the Dangle Report said that in 2025, a lot of the populations around the world were going to shrink. And so, for example, the United Kingdom went from 65 million people to 14. The United States went from 326 million to 90 million. Iran even went down from 82 million to 81 million.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, you want me to show you some more on that?
In what, 2025?
2025. Here's actually their 2025 report. And if you follow right here, babe. See, like the United States right here? The population in 2017 was 316 million. The population in 2025, they say, will be 99 million. Right? Population change.
Wow.
Down 68%. But if you look, a lot of these countries, United Kingdom leads the way at a 77% loss, Ireland 72, Puerto Rico 68, Germany 65, Luxembourg 61, Israel is going to lose half of its population. I don't know if you guys are very familiar with the Dangle Report. So the Dangle Report was basically a website that tracked military statistics and world statistics. And it had been going on a long, long time. But they had made a projection that in 2025, a lot of the population was going to die off. They never give a reason for it, but eventually the Dangle Report got taken down. Now you can find screenshots of it still out there, right? People who had saved it, but the original Dangle Report. There's a new website, but it's not the same. The Dangle Report is now gone. But
was this from when was this? 20. When did you first see it? In 2017?
Probably back about there. I mean, I've been aware of it for a long, long time, so I don't remember the first time I seen it. But I try to save this kind of stuff because you're going to have a hard time finding it, you know. But if you just Google Dangle, DEAGEL, 2025 forecast, just Google it. Do some reading. We can have a talk another day.
Do you know
about
what the other numbers are?
Well, yeah. So so let's look at the United States. So the first two are population 2017 and population 2025.
Yeah.
Right. You got that. Population change. The next one is your GDP. In 2017 was 16.7, and it will fall to 2.4, which means your economy is basically,
tanked.
you've lost 85% of your economy, right? And so it's just statistics, but they also would go into how many aircraft you have, and all these other different metrics. But basically, let me go back to my other slide when they were talking about all of these countries and World War III and all of this stuff. And then today when I was building live, I thought, the Dangle report always said, let me go back and see what I can. So I've had to find that file, but just Google Dangle report 2025. Yeah. You know what, G-Dog, what's so interesting about this? They never say. So the Dangle report does not, at any place in it, again, I've been following it for years, until they took it down. And I think they took it down in 2021 or something like that. But it never says. There are some coincidences you can put in there, though, that maybe would help you come to it. Like, let me give you an example here. Oh, sorry. Google says it's a conspiracy, that the Dangle report's a conspiracy. It might be, but it's an absolute factual website that was out there. And I find it interesting that here we are with every major superpower involved in combat right now. And here we are, and it's
What's the difference
2025.
between conspiracy and truth?
6 months. Let me get some. Oh, I wish I brought the other report, because there's, in some cases, there are countries, like if I remember right, Pakistan gains in population. India gains in population. China gains in population, if I remember right. But a lot of the other countries don't, Hey, good night, David. Let's see. Frank Spees says the people in China and Russia are turning on their leaders. It's bad. The killing and hunger. God, I hope not, right? If they took it down, then it's true. They took it down. But seriously, all you got to do, Google, is Dangle Report 2025, and you can decide for yourself whether it's a conspiracy. My only reason in even bringing it up was just the coincidence that it's the same time, right? I don't trust Indian Times talking about that. I don't trust War Raider talking about that, or Concerned Citizen talking about that. I don't trust the Anointed Man with his World War III populations, and I don't trust the Dangle Report. However,
This is what they say.
It's what it says, right? Why would Switzerland go down? I always kind of thought in my head, again, I have nothing to support this, G-Dog, but I've always had this kind of in my head that what they were referring to was some kind of plague or pandemic.
Right.
It's the only thing that made any sense to me.
Right.
But anyway, hard to say, right? Jaw-dropping statement from Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov has issued a bombshell warning. Russia will do everything in its power to create conditions where the continued U.S. and Israel military strikes in Iran become completely impossible. Putin says those behind the conflicts in the Middle East and other regional crises seek to exploit their destructive consequences, sowing hatred and turning people around the world against one another. This is the true self-serving objective of such a geopolitical puppet masters. Again, I think I already read that one. Let me try it again. So Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov again has issued a warning saying countries that are affected by the aggression of the United States and Israel are our strategic partners. Together with them and other peace-loving nations, we will create an international environment that will make any American attack completely impossible. So really what he's saying there is, removing America and the West's power to rule in any way, which again would line up with the Dangle report and would line up with a lot of the projections inside the Dangle report. U.S. officials now say Russia is giving Iran intelligence on the locations of American warships and aircraft, including positions of ships, planes, and radar. Meanwhile, Trump is now allowing India to import oil from Russia 30 days because he screwed up. U.S. says Russia helping Iran target American troops. U.S. officials are stating that Russia is providing targeting intelligence to assist strikes against American forces in the Middle East. Let's see here. Mo says the U.S. lost 2% of its entire population, 660,000 people in the Civil War, our bloodiest war by far. Yeah. I certainly hope the Dangle report isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
Chinese secretary supplied 50. I'm sorry, Chinese secretary. Chinese secretly supplied 50 CM-302 supersonic anti-ship missiles to Iran during the ongoing war. Iran reportedly has launched them but none have hit their targets. China is sending a special envoy to the Middle East to push for mediation in the conflict. China goes on to say the U.S. is a war addict. Throughout its 240-year history, it has been at war all but 16 years. The U.S. has 800 overseas military bases in over 80 countries and regions. The U.S. is the main cause of the international disorder and global turbulence and regional instability. There's no such thing as a limited strike, says China. Any act of aggression will be considered an act of aggression. China warns the United States, if you want war, you will get war. If you want to destroy China, you'll be destroyed. China will not fire the first shot, but China will not allow you to fire a second one. And also, China says the United States has the world's largest nuclear arsenal, follows a policy of first use of nuclear weapons. The United States is the utmost root cause of disruption to the international nuclear order and global strategic stability. Reason I bring this up is because, again, when you're talking about all of the people joining the war and all this right here says that all three superpowers, America, China, and Russia, are engaged in this conflict in some form, right? All of them.
Yeah.
And again, that assumes all of these are correct, which I can't verify any of them because I wasn't actually there. Lots of posts say that it's true, but I don't know that it's true. Let's see here. Also, the wave of killing Iran's leaders has been kind of an interesting story. I don't know that I really buy it, but if you guys remember the opening stage of the Iran conflict, we bombed a place where they were having a meeting and killed like 40 of their top leaders in the first strike. And there was pictures floating on the internet. This is an interesting picture to me of him laying there because that does not look like he was crushed in a big bomb. Would you agree?
No.
So maybe a little bit of, a little bit of propaganda. But shortly after that, they appointed a new supreme leader, and then he was taken out, and then another supreme leader, and he was taken out.
Oh my God.
And another supreme leader, and he was taken out, and then pretty soon the president's gone, and all of these kinds of things. And is it true? I don't know, right? And Mo says make you want to buy plastic crap at Walmart. No. Nope. G-Dog says China's perfect chess position now. I actually agree with that. But it don't stop on the one side because an Iranian hypersonic missile just targeted a security meeting of the Israeli cabinet in Tel Aviv. 10 Israeli Defense Force generals responsible for planning the attacks on the leader have allegedly been killed. If the rumor is true, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been killed by the Iranian army. Iranian armed forces issue major statement. Lieutenant Colonel, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, spokesman for the Iranian armed forces had issued a grave threat. He says the future of the Israeli prime minister is uncertain. In the announcement of Iran's 10th phase, I assure the Iranian nation and the Muslim world that this war will conclude with the death of Netanyahu. What I find so interesting about this, if you look at the picture all the way to the right, that's supposedly a picture of them pulling Netanyahu out of rubble. Again, I don't know that I buy it, but what I do find interesting is the only news report I've found since they said they killed him was the picture of the guy in the glasses right there. And I took it out there. I don't ever recall Netanyahu ever wearing glasses. But what I think is so interesting about this is one side claims all these things, the other side claims all these things, and none of this you'll find on mainstream media. A little bit of the Iranian side of Khamenei dying. I think that there's so much propaganda going on. I think it's so
that it might
hard.
not even be true. That it might
100%. 100%. Jen says another power vacuum in an unstable country. What could possibly go wrong? Right. 40% of China oil comes from Iran. Without oil, China can't invade Taiwan. Well, in Frank B's, I would tell you that I think probably a big motivator for Venezuela and for Iran is China. And that's probably the real target, or probably the real concern. You okay, babe? You watching the weather over there?
Yeah.
You gonna make it?
Yeah. Well, I heard that gust and I was like,
Let's see. Oh yeah, this was pretty interesting too. So another funny thing that was going on is, and I won't read every word because we're going to run out of time, but both sides of the argument claim the other side has hacked them. And so in Iran, they're claiming that Israel and America hacked their news channels and all their feeds and was giving them information from the Western side. And Israel's claiming that Iran has hacked them and they're showing pictures of mosques. So both sides have hacked each other.
Oh,
Both sides have
man.
killed each other's leaders. And wait, what did Mike Johnson say again? Oh yeah, this ain't war.
This ain't war.
This ain't war. Don't even worry about it. Let's see here. Iraq shot down America's B-2 bomber. There's a video of a B-2 bomber being shut down. Is it true? America denies it, right? America says never happened. There are videos of apparently a Kuwaiti FA-18 fighter jet took to the air, and they don't know whether he did it on purpose or not, but he shot down a couple United States Air Force F-15s. That was also interesting. Then there was 3 F-15 Eagles that America claims was shot down by friendly fire, but Iran claims that they shot them down, which is true. Right? There was some pilots shot down, I think, right? Because there's videos of them being shot down. And one of them, I don't want to say I hope is true, but I mean, it was just a really cool thing. This female fighter pilot who flew an F-15 was shot down, landed, and the Kuwaitis rescued her. And so, I don't know. There are videos of the pilots being, taken a hold of, and apparently America's claiming that they recovered all of their pilots. Iran is claiming they haven't. So hard to tell. Grateful Heart Ranch says, I believe it's called a police action tag. Totally not war. How? Please explain to me the difference. What is a police action versus what is war? Please tell me, because I simply don't know. I heard Iran's leaders was tracked by tracker put in their dental work. I heard that too. Again, another reason for you to watch the movie Real Genius. Real Man of Genius.
That was actually on the other day.
Was it?
Yeah.
U.S. officials confirmed thousands of Iraqi Kurdish fighters are on the ground in Iran. And there are all kinds of breaking videos saying that U.S. Special Forces are also working in Iran. We've heard that U.S. Special Forces are on the ground in Iran interacting with the anti-Khamenei forces. Not long after that, Iran claims to have captured a whole bunch of Delta Force troops. Which this one, I can tell you 100% is not true. And not because they said it, but because if you look in the pictures up in the right, if you look at those soldiers, those are not Delta Force soldiers. Because if you look at the picture down beneath them, those are 3 Delta Force soldiers. They're a huge difference, right? Many of them wear beards. You can see how, like right here, babe, you can see how there's tape on their arms. They're wearing a totally different type of uniform. None of that is true. That is either AI. I promise you those are not Delta Force troops that had just come across. See how clean they are? There's no way that a bunch of Delta Force troops are going to surrender like that clean, right? Just no way. I just absolutely don't buy it. But you guys can make your own decision. I don't believe it. Let's see here. Big refinery was blown up in Saudi Arabia, or at least Iran is claiming. And 20% of the world's oil supply going through the Strait of Hormuz. That has all been shut off. And there are already lots of things going on. There are videos in California of gas reaching $7.81. Oil's gone to $88 to $90 a barrel. Right? Big jump, babe. Me and Bethany were talking about that, earlier today. Gas prices around here where I live are up about 20 cents in a day. And so we'll see where it, kind of where it goes to. There's another thing that we should be concerned about here, which is the fertilizer supply. Because a lot of the world's fertilizer comes out of that area too. And so that could really affect farmers' ability to plant this year. But we shall see. Right.
It's like right on cue, guys.
Yep.
Good job.
Yep. Many reports from Iran talk about this, that they've hit the USS aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln, and there are many reports this is true. America denies it. There's also lots of videos out there about them hitting other American vessels. Again, it's so hard to tell. They say they did. America said they didn't. They say they're fine. Hard to tell, right? Let's see here. only been a week. Oil will go well north of 100. Yeah, I think it will too, G-Dog. G-Dog said they need better AI. Yeah, they do. Thought fertilizer came from Canada. Right. Well, it did come from Canada when Canada was the fight. But now it comes from here because, wash, rinse, repeat, right? Blows me away. This is why this isn't ending, is right here. President Trump on Truth Social said there will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender, which that means boots on the ground, which that means if that's the only way we're getting out of this, it absolutely means occupation. It absolutely means rebuilding. It absolutely means everything. Those people over there have been at war for so many years. They're not going to lay their guns down and just walk away. This is a years and years and years and years and years of conflict. And I guess I'll leave this whole Iran thing with this thought for me. If I love the idea of ladies not having to wear those black things all over their bodies, right? I love the idea of girls driving cars and getting educations. I love all of that. That is all wonderful stuff. But don't you think we got enough going on at home? I mean, I don't know how much more our system can take. It's fragile already as it is, and don't forget, we talk about Iran tonight. What about this stuff going on in the Ukraine? What about the stuff going on in Mexico and the cartels and things going back and forth? What about the jobs report that came out this week where they were expecting 100,000 new jobs and they figured out they lost 90,000 new jobs? What about inflation? We're paying higher prices than ever, all the way to my little county, a 35% increase in budget and a 3.9% increase in wages. We've got our food is being poisoned, our air is being poisoned, our water is being poisoned. We've got all these problems going on. And yet, every single dollar that they claim Doge saved us, we spent in 3 fighter jets being shot down over Iran, regardless of who shot them down. So I really wish we would pay attention to what's going on here, but anyway, guys, it's been 2 hours. I'm going to leave it right here. B, anything you want to talk about in all this? You got any parting words for me?
Maybe don't forget what's important.
That's a good one. Yep. And what's important is your act of rebellion. Go grow something, go build something, go do something for yourself, figure out a way to produce your own water, find some type of energy independence.
Yeah.
Right? Find some way. Don't get in a bunch of debt. Get yourself in a position to where you can withstand, because this ain't ending anytime soon. We love you guys, and we'll see you in a week.
Yeah.